Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome everyone to our first call of July. I am still getting over jet lag. I think Ezra is too. We're like, oh, I gotta go lie down. Um, waking up at 4 in the morning and all that good stuff. Crazy. Going to bed with too early. But here we are. Um, and my hair is really sticking right up. Just distracts me. I don't usually look at myself when I'm on Zoom. All right, I'm excited to be here with you all and to do metaphor check-in. And also, I just wanted to check that uh, tech is working. Everybody can hear us, see us. Everything's good there. Okay, good. Thanks, Diana. Yeah, metaphor check-in. Ezra, do you want to start us off? Oh, and then I have a fun thing, which is like your favorite, if you have one, your favorite 4th of July tradition. Something you like to do or something you like about the 4th of July.
Um,
And a metaphor check-in.
Great. So, the metaphor check-in is um, um, that I was on a train in a tunnel, and now I'm uh, out of the tunnel, and people. Well, I'm working on getting out of the tunnel so that people can see the train I'm on, so that that my books are becoming more and more visible with a kind of marketing plan. Um,
Hmm.
and a tradition that, we haven't done it in a while because um, children grow up. Um, that is, we would go with Beth's nephews, our nephews, to the marina, Berkeley Marina, where they shoot fireworks, and there's lots of food and stuff to do there and hang out, and it's super cold
And the fog comes in and you don't know if you're gonna see the fireworks or not that night.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
so we won't be doing that tomorrow. Although
No, we are. I mean,
we
not with the
are
nephews.
not with the nephews, but we are going
Yeah.
at the Berkeley Marina.
Yeah. Our cats are very happy we're home.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. All right. Nicole, do you want to go next with your metaphor check-in?
Yeah, okay. So Ezra is on the marketing train. I'm not there yet, but but I'm on the creative writing train though, so I might pass you by. Who knows?
Yes.
All right. That's great. That's great. And any favorite 4th of July traditions?
No.
Do anything at all on the 4th of July?
So it's my mom's birthday, so she's barbecuing. She already started today, so
Nice.
I think we'll be, just around the house eating barbecue and stuff. So
It's
there you go.
nice. Well, happy birthday to your mom.
Yep.
Great. I love your metaphor. Um, I'm just going to mute you, Nicole, because there's some weird background noise. I hope you don't mind.
All right.
All right, thanks. Diana, how is yeah, your writing going? Your metaphor check-in.
Yeah, my check-in is I feel like I've finally hit the reset button because I mean, I think you all were aware, of course, that I moved.
Yeah.
So that was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then just like a week or two ago, I completely changed positions at work too. So everything is different, actually. But this all seems like they're good changes, so that's nice.
That's nice. Yep.
And in particular, like work is freeing up time that really should let me write again. I'm so excited. So, yes. Um, and so it really does feel like hitting a reset. It's like, wow, things got crazy there for a while. I'm hitting the reset. I'm refreshing and going back to what I wanted.
Good. Good, good, good. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's great. And do you have any favorite July 4th traditions?
Well, so I think we're about to embark on one. The house that we bought, if you were to come visit us and looked behind our backyard, what you would see is a great big park area that belongs to the city.
Mhm.
And as soon as we bought the house, that is when everyone started to tell us, by the way, your 4th of July is going to be crazy because that's the park where they release the fireworks.
Wow.
And the parking always gets full. And so people will actually end up parking all along our street. Like you'll have strangers apparently parking in your driveway just to see.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, the benefit is like I guess we'll be able to like literally sit in our backyard and see the full show from home.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
What you can do is like when you're ready to market, you can put tickets on everyone's cars, but it'll say this is not a ticket. This is an opportunity to buy my book.
Yep. Well, in downtown Denver, there's a parking lot right next to where I work, run by the Church of Scientology. And it's also right next to the baseball field. So on baseball game days, they put up a sign. They call it free parking, but it's free only if you buy a book.
Oh, no.
So literally, they're doing book sales as part of their parking. Like, come park in our parking lot, buy the book,
That's
go watch your baseball game. So, I mean, I could just one day maybe I'll just be out there with a book stand, parking with books.
yeah, yeah.
There you go. Oh, I love it. Very creative. I've never heard of a writer doing that, but that works. Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Story, can I call on you? Are you available?
Good. I am. Good afternoon, everybody,
Good noon, good evening, and
Howdy.
good night.
or good evening, I should say. How was, before I get into that, how was the trip? I know you said you had jet lag, but are you, did you have trouble coming back and speaking English again now?
I have today I found myself using French in the street
Oh
when I
yeah.
was passing people. Pardon, excusez-moi. Um, yeah, yeah. I am wishing I could be speaking French more often all the time, like I got to do in Paris. We had a good time. We had a really lovely time. Amsterdam was
I'm
fast.
so happy.
Yeah, Paris was way too hot, but it was good to be there. And yeah, we had a real good trip.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're all excited that you're back. Sorry you had to leave. It's always fun to be somewhere fun. So, but we're glad to have you back
Thanks. We're glad to be
Yeah.
and safe.
Yeah, we're glad to be back. It was a very positive trip and very easy travels, and our cats are so happy we are back.
Yeah.
As you can see, Rocket is like
Yes.
everywhere.
And the weather is nicer.
Oh, the weather here is just fabulous. We're so blessed.
It was nice in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam was great,
Yeah.
but except for one day it was quite warm. But Paris was insufferable, but also
Well,
manageable, how it is in big cities when it gets really hot.
of course. Of
Yeah,
course. Well, good. I'm glad you guys had a good time.
yeah, yeah.
Well, my metaphor is that I feel like I am swimming up from the deepest ocean and can see some daylight
Hmm.
and uh, not really deciding if I have hit the surface and have breathable air or if I'm growing gills and still just underwater. But one or the other, I feel like uh, progress is being made. So
That's great.
that's good.
Yeah.
And we are traveling. So we've been traveling for a month. We have about 3 months to go before we're back home. We're in our Class A bus and we're enjoying 4th of July on the road. So we're in Sandpoint, which is just north of Coeur d'Alene,
Oh,
Idaho, and then so we'll be here tomorrow for the 4th,
oh, nice.
and we're on a nice little lake, and we'll enjoy to see how uh, Idaho celebrates their fireworks, which I understand is incredibly strong with fireworks. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. I know where Coeur d'Alene is. It's not too far from Spokane, where
That's right.
I have a brother who lives in Spokane. So
Well, we're on our way there. I am going to marry our son next month.
wow.
And so we'll be over there in Washington next month. So we're just taking our time getting there.
That's
Wow.
congratulations.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, thank you for that check-in. And I guess it's my turn, huh, to do a
Yeah.
check-in. Check-in. I'm gonna do full screen. No. All right. How do I get back to
Judah was a man.
there we go. Let me get out of full screen it. Sorry, guys. It distracts me.
He'd been
Rocket, you having a good time there? Rocket? Yeah. My metaphor check-in. Let's see. Uh, yeah, I often choose a train metaphor. I guess I feel like oh, I have some really good fun references. I feel like I'm on the train that's pulled into the station and I get out and it's that beautiful, big, amazing ceilings. And I'm just like, wow, I haven't been to this station before. I love train stations. Yeah, I just finished editing chapters 9 and 10 and prepped them today for beta readers. And I also prepped and sent off my script for a table read in a few weeks for this
Oh,
fiction.
wow.
Yeah, script writing for the film group that I'm in. So that was fun. That'll be my first table read. And so I'm like, yay, this is fun. This is new. And also, I'm getting that much closer to getting my book done. I think I'm about 157 yeah, I'm 157 pages in. I have a 513 page book, so whatever that is, 20, a little over 20%.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, and my favorite July 4th tradition um, is I just have this childhood memory of lying on my back in Sonoma, which is north of here, in a big field that was part of a park, General Vallejo's Park. You kind of reminded me about it, Diana. And just lying like on my back, looking up at the fireworks, surrounded by, city folk and, our and friends. And I was probably about 11 or 12 and just feeling really awed by that. So I guess I like fireworks the most. Like they can be just so incredible and amazing and creative. And um, if we can see them, if it's not foggy, I will be able to see them tomorrow night. So yeah, that's the fun part.
Awesome.
And I also did really enjoy hanging out with my nephews when they're younger. And maybe I'll reach out to my sister, see if the younger one, who's now 11, if he's not too cool for his aunt and uncle to hang out with him.
There you go. Which often happens.
Often happens. We'll see. Or maybe we'll stop by on our way there or something. That would be nice.
That's option.
Maybe we can
Yeah,
just drop in.
that's
One of them is 20 years old and he's off traveling with his girlfriend, so he's not even around. They're all doing so. Yeah, all right. Right on time. Let's do some writing. Everyone want to do some free writing? I have a little exercise for us that ties into what we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So here's the prompt. Of course, you can do whatever you want, and I recommend, Nicole, that you just work on your story. But if you want to incorporate some of this prompt, you can. So a little bit later on today, we're going to talk about the dining room scenes, the uses of dining room scenes, and how powerful they are, what you can use them for. So my suggestion is to find a dining scene from your work in progress, or you're welcome to draft a bit of one and be sure to incorporate smells, sounds, and also dialogue. And just work on either editing or writing your dining room scene, a dining room scene. Right? Let's see. Right, a dining room scene. And the dining room scene could be in a residence, it could be out in a cafe, restaurant, someone's house, that kind of thing. All right. Any questions? Let's do 6 minutes on that. Call up my little thing here. Where's the timer? Where's the timer? All right. No questions, it seems like. All right, I'm gonna go off camera. See y'all in 6 minutes. All right, that was 6 minutes. So let's come on back together and you can post your writing if you want. I worked on editing a paragraph. I did a search for the word eat and I found something that I haven't yet edited. So that was fun. Great. I see Diana's.
I don't know if this will work.
Why not? Is it too big?
I don't see it. But there.
Oh, there it is. Great. And Diana. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say Nicole. I'll check in with Nicole. Sorry about that. Nicole, how'd that go? Did you do some writing?
Yeah, I got some writing done.
Good. Was it at all related to eating?
Well, it was sort of some editing. It was sort of related to drinking. The drink was deliberately poisoned.
Oh, very good. Very good. I love it.
But one of the side effects is they smell things that don't that do exist, but they're not there at that moment. So like there's a thing called a key apple, but they don't have any key apple things at that moment. And then there's ginger apples, and so and they're not they're outside. I mean, yeah, they're outside, but so yeah, they're so that's what I got.
I like it. Yes, of course, drinking is definitely included or definitely counts. Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Let's see. And how about you? Oh, good. Stories got something. We all got stuff. All right. Ez, you want to do some reading aloud?
Yeah. So
Right.
Hanson, Ezekiel, and Domino were already there. They sat at a table with a man she hadn't yet met. He had shocking white hair, trimmed military short, high and tight, short on top and shaved nearly to the skull on the sides. Everyone was chatting and slurping a chunky soup and dunking in it thick slabs of dark bread. The meal smelled fragrant and meaty. Her stomach rumbled in agreement. Janie followed Amari's lead and served herself from a big pot at a side table. Eager to dig in and find out what the team had discovered, Janie sat down at the round table with the others.
Great. Thank you. And later, when we talk about the purposes of uses of dining scenes, I might come back and see if you guys can recall which purpose mine fulfills.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was already
Analyze.
analyzing it.
Yeah.
But okay, cool.
Cool.
Here's Diana's. The group returned their attention to the desserts laid out in front of them. Clara accepted several eager offers of pastries and cake. She bit into a glazed eclair and realized she was dreadfully thirsty. Several gulps of the pungent juice eased her thirst, but not the hazy feeling spreading over the top of her head. So, said Ewald, leaning towards Clara, I'm curious what secrets you might share. In all your time with Drosselmeyer, did he give any hints of what he was planning? Clara wasn't sure she wanted to return to this topic. No. Oh, come on, wheedled the young man. Surely you must know something. It's not like we're against Drosselmeyer, said Ewald. Oh, I see. I'm confusing people. Why, I never sold so many furs until he froze us all in this winter. He didn't tell me anything. Her face was hot. Clara reached for a drink, but she knocked it over with a loud clatter. The rest of the table laughed as Janina handed Clara a new glass. It's great.
Wonderful. I forgot to have dialogue in mine. Anyway, it's fine. I like all your dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Here's stories. Musk glanced over at me with a small, proud smile. like he knew. That's Kaiva, he said, leading me past a glass wall to a long counter carved from something that shimmered like obsidian underwater. It's brewed differently on every continent, but this is Arvin style. I thought you might like it. I didn't know what to expect from a coffee shop on Zephyrian 2B, but it sure wasn't this. The place was warm and quiet, with soft lights that floated in the air instead of hanging from anything. The walls looked like smooth gray stone with strange spiral patterns carved into them, almost like they were moving when I wasn't looking straight at them. It wasn't loud, but it didn't feel dead either. There was soft music playing in the background, something stringed and light, like wind brushing over glass. Talking quietly in a language I didn't understand, but somehow didn't feel totally foreign.
Really fun.
Yeah.
Love the atmosphere that you're painting there.
This is from my takeoff of Snow White and the Seven Men, but Snow White is Schnee, and one of the men is a werewolf. She has to figure out which one. Palmer continued to gesture to the open seat. His droopy mop of curly hair around his round face, his kind eyes, and his Percy Shelley lips invited a pleasurable evening, and his loose and lazy oversized shirt even suggested she was safe, as though he couldn't be bothered to kill her. Schnee said, "You are most kind, Palmer." She sat. A quick glance at the company stirred a revelation. All of these gorgeous guys had a gentle, manly quality to them. Maybe not quite like winsome, but a politeness without any hint of aggression. All except one. Pierce, the hunter. He no longer waited for everyone to start eating. He used his hands and teeth to rip apart a side of raw meat, a dish that seemed to be set for him and him alone. The meat's juices dribbled down his bush of a beard. It was clear if any of the men had the barbarian grit that would send him so out of control he would turn into a wolf and kill people, it would be him. "This supper looks positively scrumptious," Schnee said. Indeed it did. Beside the plates of tool-shaped appetizers, there was a giant sterling silver serving platter displaying venison with sautéed mushrooms and surrounded by red-skinned potatoes decorated with fennel and parsley. The potatoes had the tint of being soaked in butter.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, so fun. Everyone creating such evocative scenes. Great. So let's dive into our lesson on the uses of dining scenes. And Ezra and I were debating who suggested this, and I thought it was you, Nicole. But Ezra's like, no, it was him. But I don't remember. Nicole, did you suggest this scene lesson for us?
No, I think I suggested like currency.
Currency. All right, let's do that next time. That's a great
Oh,
topic.
yeah.
Talk about currency. Great. So today we're going to talk about the uses of dining room scenes. And I think, Ezra, you're the one who suggested it. I'm going to make it so I can start keeping track of who suggested what. It's
Right.
so today we're going to talk about the uses of dining scenes and what elements to include, which I think you all did a great job. So this will be more of a review than a teaching, I think, but you might get some ideas from this tonight. We'll talk about sensory details, dialogue, world building customs, setting, and talk about some specific things to science fiction and fantasy to call out. We'll talk about implementation tips and then a summary. I don't have an exercise called out, but maybe this discussion will spark an exercise. So Ezra and I were brainstorming, and I think there's like a few main uses or purposes, I guess you could even say, of a dining scene. So one really great one is conflict, rising tension, suspense, or showing off power dynamics. So I think Diana, yours definitely has a little bit of tension. Your scene that you showed with us tonight. And yours does too, Ezra, because right, she's examining each of the guests. I mean, you've only really highlighted one in the excerpt that we saw. Um, so a dining room scene, I mean, of course, any kind of scene is great for conflict, but dining has that forced intimacy, right? We're all together around a table eating, which is a very intimate thing, where people's guard has been taken down. And then you could have tension and suspense and reveal power dynamics and people trying to get secrets out of each other, right? Oh,
Mhm.
that's actually something I can add to this list. Um,
Yep.
you agree?
Yep. Yep.
And then another is working out where allies come together to work out a problem or to assess what they know so far, like in a mystery story, people come together and they're like, so what do we know so far? That kind of discussion often happens over a meal. My scene was setting that up. And maybe I don't know if yours was story as well, where there would be a discussion happening over coffee. Um,
Yes, definitely.
Good. And then a third thing that I've seen in stories is where you'll have the resolution. Maybe at the end of a big story, you have everyone coming together for a meal. Um, I have a movie example for you, which is Avengers, where they're all eating shawarma at the end, which actually I heard came out of improv. I think that
Mm,
Robert Downey Jr. said,
that
"Let's
makes
all
sense.
get shawarma," and then they filmed that scene like after months after the movie had been filmed. Um, and Captain America, Chris Evans, that actor, he has his head down because he has a beard because he was filming something
Gotcha.
else, so he had to hide his face. I just learned that recently. Or I've read plenty of, I remember reading a romance novel where the people came together at the end. And actually, I have a scene like that toward the end of one of my unpublished novels where everybody was off doing different adventures. And at the very end of the story, or toward the end, I have all of the friends like meeting for the first time over a meal. That was really fun.
I know that like at the end of certain Star Wars films or The Lord of the Rings, there's a celebration and a festival, a feast.
A
And
feast. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yep. Um, And then another use that can be wrapped around these other uses is where two people are getting together and getting to know each other, like a dating or friends, work colleagues, that kind of thing, um, which works well in relationship stories and also could be a part of power dynamics. You
mhm.
know, could go from,
Yeah.
oh, we're getting to know each other to, oh, we're actually not liking each other and it becomes some kind of rivalry or I don't know. Are there any other uses or purposes of dining scenes that you've seen that you've observed that I don't have on this list?
I've seen it be used to reveal character where it was just one person alone, but the details were enough for the reader to get to know. Like this character was portrayed to be like in the future, where there was a lot of gene editing, so most people are perfect. There was a heavy emphasis on him being imperfect, like slightly autistic and extremely overweight for people his like era. And so the dining scenes were him ordering like three different courses, and it's always an excessive amount.
Mhm.
And how like people in other tables, their eyebrows would be raised, but nobody would say anything to him. And so that was just that I always think of that because I mean the food was so impactful for that character.
Yeah, that's great. It's really great. And you just called to mind the way I've seen lots of TV shows or movies with teenagers in high school and cafeterias and how the cafeteria is sort of a war zone. Same with prison scenes, often use the cafeteria time as a place of tension and rivalry and potential threats and but also a chance for connection and that kind of thing.
Something that comes to mind is when thinking about when would be an appropriate time to use a dining scene is if there's a situation where the protagonist or the character is concerned about their own safety and want a public place. For example, if someone manages to get the character's phone number, the protagonist's phone number says, "Oh, you dropped your keys. Have them. Do you want to? I can drop them off at your place." It's like, well, do I really want to give my address as my keys? Probably not. So let's say, well, no, thank you for let's just meet up at the fun dinner. I'll pay lunch or something.
Okay, so yeah, meeting a stranger. Oh, duh. Well, it's not really dining, it's more bar, but I mean, the pickup scene, revealing character. Yeah. So I forget what culture it is. Margaret Mead, an anthropologist, went and studied this island culture, and she found out that when two people dined together, ate together, that it was like the most intimate thing that you would never eat in public because it was too intimate. And that was when I learned that was my first understanding that the ritual of eating could have a different meaning in another culture.
That's really
So,
cool. In fact, in my anthropology class, there's the Kewak tribe where um, the the couples.
well, this is it. This is
Yeah,
probably what
okay.
Margaret Mead.
Okay, yeah,
learned
yeah.
this.
So the couples that eat were I mean, the if they're a couple, then what separates them from everyone else is they get to eat and dine together. They can have sex with whoever they want, that doesn't matter. But eating together was the most intimate thing.
Intimate, yeah. So that's exactly it. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Great. Well, let's move on to
You did just actually, though, you created one more reason that's not in here. It's to explore culture. Because you were just talking about the cultural piece, and I just realized, like in The Hobbit and in Lord of the Rings, a lot of the descriptions of food are really talking about the cultures.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And it's this kind of relates, but Ezra and I were like, yay, let's go to the grocery store when we were in Amsterdam. It was fun. So, and same with Paris. I'm like, look, Ez, there's a grocery store right across the street. And we went into 3 grocery stores. Well, I went into a third without you, the bio co-op. Yeah. So, I mean, even grocery stores. So it's adjacent, grocery store, markets. Used to go into the open markets when we lived in Paris.
Mhm.
I love those. Yeah, that's great, Diana. I love that. So let's talk about some of the elements to use in a dining scene. And I saw this on display in your own writing, is to be sure to use plenty of sensory details. Smell, very important, of course, taste, visuals, all the smells, touch, of course, sight. And you all were doing a good job with that.
I think sight and visuals are the same.
Oh, that's the same. Okay, I'm repeating myself. And I think I don't really need the column other, do I? Do I need to add any others?
Just list the other 20 that you know about. Because she does a great presentation on the
21 senses. Yeah, there's we could go into all the nuances of all the sensory details. So bring in at least 2 or 3, and smell being, I would say, like the biggest one. And the hardest one. I find that smell very challenging. That was one thing story I would have really loved in your scene is the smell. You had very interesting visuals in that scene, and I would be curious, what does the coffee smell like to your character, point of view character? Dialogue. Eating over a meal, people are going to be talking, but then there's also what's not said but implied, which is subtext. I noticed, Diana, you did a great job also showing inner thought of the character and all of her concerns and doubts, and Ezra, you had the internal strategic thinking of your character.
Mhm.
Yeah, so dialogue, a great place to show conflict, reveal character. Anything else about dialogue?
No, you got it, I think.
All right. And
Or,
then,
yeah,
yeah,
unless someone else had
I
an
think I
idea.
covered it. Yeah, if anyone thinks of anything else there. And then world building, like what you were saying, Diana, there's so many different things that we can reveal. Manners, where were we? We were at we had lunch at this place in Amsterdam, and Ezra looked over at the neighboring table and he's like, oh, they have to be European with the way they're holding their knife and fork.
Yeah.
He knew right away, because the way Americans hold their utensils is different than the way Europeans hold their utensils. And of course, the description of food is going to be so revealing. Any kind of customs around, all kinds of customs, the order at which people eat, maybe everyone, you often see in large groups, people wait till everyone's been served till you eat, or maybe not. The what was it? When people salute, when they clink their alcohol, what is that called? A salutation or something, like how they say cheers or
Right.
tschüss or santé, à votre santé. There's so many different customs, probably also with maybe even the order at which people eat. In America, well, in France, they'll give you lots of little plates of food. It's so fun in a lot of places. The waiters will not bother you in France. You have to call them over if you need anything. Whereas in America, the waiter's like, do you need anything? Do you need anything? Is it okay? Is your meal okay? And they'll come and like take your plate. I remember coming back from France the first time and being like offended, like, go away, don't take my plate. Like the French will not even take your plate. They would just let you and linger and linger and linger. It's so wonderful. It's a luxury. Um, yeah, other world building customs. Kind of speaking in generalities right now. We'll get into some specifics in a sec. Anything else there?
Um,
Also, it just occurred to me, like how people, the seating, it's like in like a Japanese or Korean restaurant, you might be sitting on cushions and low tables and that kind of thing, or maybe people are eating at the bar, or maybe people are eating at big tables or maybe small tables, so the seating arrangements could be also very telling.
I'll try to make this short. And in the Bible, when Joseph becomes royalty or something, like he was sold by his brothers and then helps out the Pharaoh. Um, and then and there's uh, to collect food. And has them all sit next to him in a circle to feed them. And he has right next to him the youngest Benjamin, and that wouldn't be normal. The what I You should have next to royalty the oldest, and then the farthest away from royalty would be the youngest. And so he was purposely trying to set them, get them angry by by the way they were seated.
All kind, right? Hierarchy.
Right.
Uh,
And something else, currency, like how they pay. I don't know if that would be a world building.
yeah, absolutely. How they all of that. We went to Paris has changed a ton, and we went to this place where you stand in line like a cafeteria and you choose from a fixed menu and you have options, and then you tell them what you want, they serve you, put it on a plane, you go plate a tray and you sit down. I had never seen that in France before.
That was so good.
And the food was amazing, amazing, vegetarian meat. Yeah, it was so good. They've changed a lot there. So yeah, great. Any other world building customs and that we want to call to mind? Um,
Dune had some really good ones surrounding water because that was what it was all about. And it was literally who toasts how they toast, how water is either used or wasted, and then how that waste is like taken advantage of by the rest of the people. And then there were also some descriptions because spice is so important. They were really calling out like which dishes were heavy in spice versus which weren't, because it was so uncommon on that planet to be low on spice.
Oh, that's so great. So how the food is used and wasted and valued. That's great. Yeah, and that says a lot about the culture. That's really great. Where were we? Oh, in Amsterdam, I noticed that all the salt shakers were, the salt was coarse grained, and all the salt shakers were what I'm used to as pepper shakers, where they had a grinder on them.
Oh yeah.
And all the restaurants had it. The hotel apartment we were in had it. So that's, a little difference. Okay, I'm teaching Rocket. He's like, pay attention to me. All right, some more things which we kind of touched on, but I want to go a little bit more broadly into setting. I'm going to be teaching a setting class pretty soon. Of course, where they eat. Story, you had a great description of the room. None of us really had that. You had that in your scene. So where they're eating, what it looks like, the surroundings. You did a lovely job with that. Of course, with whom are they eating? Not who they eat or eating, with whom they dine. There we go. But include things like time of day, weather. I guess also, who else is there if you're putting the scene in a restaurant of any kind. And also those who are serving. How present are they? Are they in the background? Are they in the foreground? Yeah. Other things about setting. I would also say, well, because I saw this in Amsterdam, everything was bilingual, English, Dutch. Paris, no. Paris, just French, just French. If you can't read French, too bad. Actually, some of the restaurants had menus in both languages, the tourist restaurants, but not the local restaurants. So I guess language. And then coming back home, I'm realizing, wow, everything's in English and Spanish here. But if you don't speak English or Spanish, you're going to have some troubles. Anything else that we want to bring up about setting? All of a sudden, one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars is the bar scene toward the beginning of the initial Star Wars film. And I mean, that's more about the people and the mixes in cross-cultural.
Yeah, I was thinking clothing is not, it's not really setting, but it's certainly part of the atmosphere.
Absolutely. What other people are wearing. Music. Yeah. Good. So I noticed in the other Star Wars, Mandalorian, in the Mandalorian, he never took off his helmet around anyone, but he obviously had to take it off to eat. So I guess that kind of goes to, what is public, what is private in kind of public setting. Cool. So I had already described the cantina that I should reveal in my little piece. So when I initially reveal the cantina, I have much more sensory details about the place, and so we get to see the room and everything. But since I think the scene that I showed everyone here, I didn't read the whole thing, so I don't know, but I'll probably revisit it. So when you come back to a setting for the second time, it's good to have one or two details that you repeat from the first time. All right, let's get into some specifics. And this, Nicole, might give you some ideas. And so when you are talking about your your dining scene. It's really something I've enjoyed doing in my sci-fi and fantasy is to invent foods. And I did that a lot in the first four books of my sci-fi book. It was really fun. Uh, th- and here's some examples: floating desserts, color changing beverages. Oh, I like these ideas. I used my AI tool for these. Also, you could do distinct preparation methods, um, dragon fire cooking, molecular transformation. And then you could design tastes that are outside the human experience. And the examples here are tastes like sunshine or numbs the mind. Notice that they're still relatable. A taste like sunshine can evoke something for us. We're really, even though it's outside what we typically think of, it's still using metaphor that we can relate to. Also, the dining etiquette we're talking earlier about the culture where when a couple eats together, it's it's an exclusive, intimate thing. So dining etiquette can tell you a lot about your societies. You could have different species could use different implements. I think you have that, Nicole, right? Um, different, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Here's some examples: telepathic food service or gravity manipulation. So you could have your people, eating or having implements for eating that are unique. You can.
Oh, I was going to say, in one of the worlds that I'm creating, they have meal traders instead of restaurants.
Okay, so people trade for meals.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah. So you go to a person who brings you the meal.
Yeah, you can go to like a person's house, or you can, or like if they're having a festival or something, but you can go to a person's house and say and ask them for a meal and trade. You would have to trade them with something.
Yeah.
You would have to actually trade with something.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But yeah,
so no restaurants in your
no.
society. Okay. Yeah. So there you can have also some taboos or even some honors around certain foods or dining practices. Like I'm thinking of various stories that we've seen TV or film where they have drinking games. Um, and ooh, when I lived in France, I had the dessert was very a very exquisite dessert was pears and cheese that came from that region. We were in a different. I was outside Paris. We were in the Dijon region, and it was very special. Oh, and I had just been on a deer hunt, and we ate venison from the previous year. You don't eat venison from the. That was important. After the deer hunt is eating the venison and then having the special pears and cheese. So, and then Ezra mentioned hierarchies through seating arrangements or through the serving order, which a lot
Do
of,
you, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say a lot of cultures have that today.
I was curious because cultural, I also think about technology, but I wasn't sure if you had a technology section here. Ha ha ha, perfect.
Yeah. So you could show food preservation or show how food is made through some kind of magic or technology. You can show daily activities that are enhanced or complicated by the technology of your world, and then have limitations even through magic or technology. Did you have something specific, Diana?
I mean, I, I don't know how many of you have seen the movie The Fifth Element.
I love that film. It's on my top.
So
One of our favorites.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's set in like this skyscraper. Well, part of it is the skyscraper, like vastness of I think New York City, where all of the cars can float through the air, fly.
Yeah.
And so at one point, Bruce Willis is like fed by basically a food truck that comes to his apartment window.
Yeah. That's so
That's
fun.
great.
Yeah. And that great scene with the taxi, or no, it was cops who are up at like a Burger King type thing who
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
through the window, and then the call comes in and it's a tired cop who doesn't get his food. Yeah. Yeah.
There's, I think currently they have a 3D printing food device,
Oh yeah.
and I think they have that for astronauts. So it's to create pizza.
They're testing it right now. And actually, I went to a coffee shop at the San Francisco airport, I think, at some point, where they made me a coffee.
Oh yeah,
Were you with me?
I've seen these like kind of like vending machines where it just
Oh, that's been around for a long time.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So how do you want to use, if you have technology in your story? It's interesting. I haven't revealed that in my story, but I'm using, mm, yeah, an interesting food cultivation method. I don't want to reveal. Yeah. That my main character, so it's like, how much do you reveal? You as the author can figure it out, but then if you don't have your character involved in that part of the story, then you don't need to show it to everyone. All right.
Yeah, I know I was reading some analog stories where they were 3D printing food, and then come to find out that that's actually happening.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I showed Ezra a really interesting video recently about this company that's using manufacturing make from mushrooms, and they're making this base material that can both be turned into insulation, right? But also that base material can be manipulated and turned into like a faux
Meat.
meat.
Yeah.
Wasn't it bacon? A kind of
Yeah.
perfectly healthy, same base material being turned into bacon. That was really cool. We're both like, oh, that's interesting. And in fact, I think it's in San Francisco, so I'm gonna go see if I can check it out.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I want to go with you.
Okay.
There's on the other side of the spectrum, there was a movie whose sole premise to the movie was what was the food from? Soylent Green.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Silent Green. Yeah.
Dana's laughing.
Yeah. Yeah. You've seen it, Dana? Uh,
I haven't seen it. I've just been exposed to the cultural impact of Soylent Green.
yeah. So let's talk about some implementation tips. And I think everyone is in moving in this, is doing this with what their examples are. So you want to make sure that your dining scenes are serving multiple narrative purposes so that they're both revealing character and doing the tension thing. Or if you have a scene where everyone's coming together to talk about the case, that you're revealing character and moving the plot forward with the summary conversation. Or and of course you're also bringing in sensory details and revealing the culture and giving us, immersing us in the moment. um this
Do
anytime.
you have to describe? Do you have to go into detail as to like the food that exists? So like I've got ginger apples and key berries and a bunch of other stuff that can't exist on our world. But so I guess I'm just wondering, do I need to? I mean, I know I can put this like in my world building file, but
Right.
I'm just wondering if I need to, go into detail here how that works.
I think just what's in the moment, what's at the table. And
Exactly. So yeah, only what is necessary to use in that scene, like as we're saying. You might end up using that, but maybe you don't have to use it all in one scene. You could use it in different scenes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So because that's a great point, and that brings me to the next point here, which is you want to balance your exotic, invented elements with relatable experiences. So we don't have to also explain everything that's new and invented, but if you have your character interacting it in with the food in a relatable way, then we all know, oh, so this is a made up kind of fruit. And if you tell us how it tastes, then we're like, oh, wow, a unique kind of apple that has a sour taste or a bitter taste or a sweet taste or a combination that is unusual. So make sure it's relatable, anything unique that you bring into your story.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, and that also brings us to this next point on the page, which is to use contrasts between familiar and unfamiliar. So we want our science fiction and fantasy worlds to feel unique and different, but we also want them to feel like somewhat familiar. Like story, you have this cafe. We all know what a cafe is, and then you've pulled in these fabulous things, floating lights, swirls, that give us this like otherworldly feel, and you did that really, really well. And earlier, when I described my cantina, I say how on the wall there's like flags from like over 200 nations on the planet and around the planet. Like so we know that there's nations, but then we also find out, oh, these are from space stations and colonies and things like that. So we get both the familiar and the unfamiliar. Something I don't do, but maybe you have, Nicole, and you have some these elements too, Diana, which is the dietary requirements or what people are eating is different than maybe what we know. And especially if you have different kinds of species or cultures or races, you can show how they have different eating habits. That's a fun thing. And then just by showing your characters' preferences or aversions to the different invented food, you reveal something about them. Yeah. Anything else that we want to keep in mind with dining room scenes?
It just occurred to me, I actually think they can be such a great source of conflict.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many, especially social elements that can create conflict.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that is actually a great way of like messing up your main character. Is just putting them in, the wrong place at the wrong time.
Wrong place at the wrong time. Faux pas. Yeah. You know, it- the this is what's happening. There's a lot of unspoken behavior around eating that you'll see, especially with parents and children, where the parents are trying to train the children what you should and shouldn't do around the table. And when we're adults in a foreign country, there's different habits that I was observing that, it's like, how do we pick it up? Well, we just observe what everybody is doing. Yeah. Yeah, that's great, Diana. So in summary, oh, okay, we talked about implementation, and then just to sum it up, you know, uh, so when you craft your next dining scene, remember it's not just about the food, it's about the opportunity to deepen your world building, advance your plot, develop your characters, of course, enhance your conflict in a setting that readers can viscerally connect with. Um, because we all need to eat. We all need to eat. I watched on the plane the sci-fi film Mickey. I believe it's called Mickey or Mickey 17. And there's a great scene in there where they're on the ship that's taking 4.5 years to get to this planet. And the main character is being fed this slop, and everyone is eating it. It's like everyone has to eat this slop, and that food is rationed. Um, and eventually he gets called to like the captain's table, and he's eating meat, and there's this obsession that the captain's wife has about sauce. And so you see like the slop versus like the fine dining. I thought they did a good job with that. All right.
So I've got a rough scene, but that I'm putting in. But my main character, Sarah, when arrives on Zypherian 2B, she is in quarantine and is forced to eat alone. But part of the technology, but getting back to the technology part, was that they would have, she could have the option to eat with AI generated um, beings. And so instead of eating alone, they create a table. She's eating at a table with AI generated beings that will all engage with her conversation, and it's the planet's way, or the security forces way of gaining information about Sarah, because she's talking to these AIs and releasing information as if they're
Mm.
beings, real beings.
Mhm.
And then when they disappear, then she doesn't really know that she gave up information that was important to
Ooh,
the planet.
that's great.
That's wild.
I'm going to add that uh, to our list of purposes, is like to obtain information. Yeah, obtain information slash steal slash obtain information. That's great. Like a clandestine kind of maneuver. I like, can't spell French.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because it gives Sarah the sense that she's not alone or being isolated, right? But it's also multi-purpose. So it's feeding the ISF, is what they call it, the ISF information about her to see where she stands um, for security purposes and politically and everything else, see
Mhm.
where she stands.
That's great. So there's a story purpose. Uh,
Mhm.
there's her own need for socialization, and also the reader is getting to know, as she's getting to know the culture and what's happening.
Right.
So it's all new. That's fascinating. So story, I didn't get any words from you. I pinged you about that, but maybe it was too late. I don't know if you have any words for us to look at. If not, that's fine. In terms of edits, um, or if, yeah, what you would like to do with that, or just push your group critique out another time.
Well, I sent you part of, or no, well, I sent you a couple of chapters,
Yeah.
and
Did you want
I
to
don't,
show page one to everyone? Do you feel
yeah, we can do that. I'm not sure.
here?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm
Good.
not afeared.
Good. I'm glad. Well, I actually quickly took a look.
Actually, it might be nice because there's something I would like to see if y'all pick up on, and then have a follow-up question about that. So, yeah, it might be kind of nice.
Great. So let's just read the first page as
Yeah.
we'll let everyone know it's sci-fi, and let's have a cold read. And what kind of feedback would you like?
Any and all.
Okay.
I'm open. Just anything from I like it, I don't like it, to more in-depth conversation.
Okay. Great. Can you read it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mayday! 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 My skull snapped against the launch couch as we spiraled violently out of control through the hazy orange, nitrogen, and methane filled atmosphere of Titan, the moon of Saturn. Houston, this is TSS Acron. Commander Sarah Sterling. Come in. We've been hit. My throat was tightening. Structural breach in the forward hull. We've been hit by something. I don't know. No response from NASA. Shit, Sanchez choked out. The nav dead, Commander. Rotational hand control is not responding. Breach, breach, Logan gasped. The hull split open. I could barely speak. Stabilizers. Sanchez, vent him now. They're gone, Commander, she wheezed. Jets only. I can't hold her. Sykes groaned beside me, trying to lift his arm. Section A is flooding. I need to seal it. You can't. If you unbuckle, you'll die. I growled through the exosuit. We write it down together.
Thank you. Wow. That was my first read of that. Really,
Yeah. Yeah.
really fun. Great action. Uh, Ezra, did you want to
Oh,
respond?
I love the it's someone put it as like hit the ground running. That's what it
Uh-huh.
felt like. We're stuck in a death-defying moment, and that had me pulled in. Um,
Yeah. Great. Other feedback, Diana?
I really like that the sentence about the skull snapping. That just, man, that felt impactful. There was something about that description that was like, oh, ow.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, I part of the trouble that I'm having in that first page is if you can think of yourself falling at G-force, and the pressure is so hard that it's difficult to speak, almost like if you were to have the wind knocked out of you, if you've ever had that happen, and
Mhm.
then you had to talk through that, even though you can't talk. That's what I'm trying to portray across in the dialogue, and I'm where I'm putting the ugh and the those the three dots. And so if y'all have any suggestions on how to portray that better, I just don't know how to um, how to have that come across to the reader and make sense.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. But before I dive into that, I just want to know your response, Nicole. Did you like this?
Not really.
Why not? I know you have very specific tastes.
Um, um, I guess I was confused because I didn't. I
Yeah.
guess it was too fast or something. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that kind of leads me to something that could help you, Story, is you can explain to us a little bit more. Like here where it says my throat was tightening, you can tell us a little bit more, like against the G-force. Um,
Mm,
right. You can just tell us.
yeah, good idea. Okay. Just be a little bit more straightforward on what's going on.
I also wanted to know that she was in an exosuit sooner. You tell us. Um, I mean, I like this showing, trying to lift his arm. I would like to know for what purpose was Sykes trying to press something, a panel, press a panel or something.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I like that you tell us she's got her exosuit here, but I would like to know right away. Like
Mhm.
one option is like inside. Um, so if she's wearing an exosuit, it's not gonna, her skull is not gonna snap against the launch couch, right? Because she's probably, does that mean she's got a helmet on?
Yeah, so it's the helmet that actually pounds on that, and then her skull hits the back of the helmet. So yeah, you're right about that.
Skull snapped against the the helmet. Um, I was a little confused by launch couch. Um, a launch. I does that mean they're all in couch together? Uh, or something.
Yeah, yeah, launch couch is basically a reclining chair inside of a space, the shuttles, the spaceship that on launch it pushes them back into the seat so they're more in a natural position when they're taking off, when they're launching. Um, so yeah, I might need to explain that. This is very rough, obviously, so I need to probably explain that a little bit better too.
Yeah, maybe. Ezra?
Um, I realize this is very rough, so but for what it's worth, since I love my skull snapped,
Mm-hmm.
we could be
Mhm.
starting my skull snapped against the helmet of my exosuit.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably where I would go with that.
mm-hmm. Nice. You can also use short sentences. I wanted this sentence about where they were to be
Mhm.
a little bit more embedded in what she sees, because this is like telling us, but I would like, is she seeing the hazy orange, atmosphere? Um, so you could,
Mm. Yeah.
explain what, or actually not explain, show what she sees. And that way you've incorporated what they're doing. Um,
I wanted to see something similar where the hull cracked.
mhm.
Ah,
Because to me,
that's a good point.
yeah, that could be such an interesting visual of that. What
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point too. And it's funny you mention that because in my head I can see the whole thing playing out, right? So yeah, I need to activate that for the reader for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. And if this whole no response from NASA, it'd be really good to like, what is it she's hearing? Is it like static or or just like some beeping? Like is why,
Mhm.
what's going on? Um and maybe she could have a speculation as to why. Um Speculate as to why. Um It's interesting that Nicole, your response was that it was too fast. I think it to me it wasn't too fast, but it left a lot of like I felt like we could use more of the setting, show us more
Mhm.
of the capsule. Um, is it like a traditional shuttle the way we see it today, where they're all in just one um
Yeah, it's very close quarters for sure.
quarters? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
You might want to show that up here, quarters. Show sound or show there. So, Ezra, you got something?
Yeah. You're so awesome.
I can hear you breathing next to me. That's
Okay.
I'm not being telepathic. It just seems that way.
You've released your secret. Um, so so I think it would be fine to explain more of the setting um after say come in, we've been hit.
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
the also the setting when if you have short sentences that feels raced and exciting, keeps the excitement going.
Yeah,
You can in adding setting with short sentences, it adds to the suspense and doesn't necessarily end the thrilling sensation. So,
Yeah.
uh,
good point.
Yeah. Short declarative, simple sentences. Yeah.
puffs of steam, like whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
that's a good point too.
um,
as I was sort of thinking through, because it's funny because it does move very quickly, but it's almost a little repetitive because it's all dialogue. And I think as a reader, I
Mhm.
would love to be able to bounce between like this dialogue and then setting. And then because you did such I still go back to that the head,
Yeah,
snapping, and I'm just like, oh man, if you can every once in a while throw in yet another like gut-wrenching body sensation, you'll keep up that sort of, I mean, it almost feels like riding a roller coaster with this
Yeah,
character.
exactly. That's how I wanted it to come across. And I did struggle between only dialogue or, putting in more back and forth between dialogue and scene setting. And um, I think on page one, I wanted to try to attempt to really feel the senses, but leave the reader kind of not knowing exactly what's going on yet. You know what I mean? Um,
You
but in a constructed way. I mean, I don't want it to be confusing, but
mhm. You
you
could
know.
still hint at, I kind of wanted to have a little hint at the mission. Are they
Mhm.
trying to land? Um, are they just get in orbit? Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that I did have that in there and I took it out and I'm not sure why, but they were landing on Titan.
Okay.
Um so and that is just in the upper atmosphere. That's why they're getting all those colors. It's in just in the upper atmosphere of Titan.
And I would want to know, is it routine? Is this the first time they're
Hmm.
to do this? If it's a routine mission, so you can use inner thought. You can use body, like you have here, my skull snap. That's great. You can have
Hmm.
description. You have, again, more body action. I changed this so it's my throat tightened. You can mix all of those in and it will still serve to hook us. Um,
Gotcha.
I think you did a good job with bringing in the team. We got Sanchez, we got Logan, Sykes. I feel like you did a nice job bringing all these people in, trying to work.
Hmm.
I like that dynamic a lot. I hope this was
Awesome.
um,
Totally, totally helpful. Yeah, totally helpful. That was great. So,
great. I'm so glad.
yeah,
Good.
thank you. Thank you all.
I'll send this to you just so you have it, but I'll keep going and get you pages, like I said, on Monday. And Diane, I'll get you
Okay.
pages on Monday too. Um, so yeah, let's wrap it up so we can not keep you all too late. Yeah, any takeaways or ahas for today? Um, I'd love to hear, and also what your next steps are.
Well, I mean, slightly unrelated, my next steps are to finish the episode 3 that I finished the draft, but I want to refine it.
Great.
And takeaways, um, that I feel more comfortable having, not only comfortable having dining scenes, but they're really good.
They are. And you've done a good job too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really important. Good. Yeah. Story, how about you? Any takeaways for you?
Yeah, this was really great. I learned a lot from the dining scenes on a lot of stuff that, and these are scenes that nobody has even seen before. But stuff that I have left out that is important, like the technology and like the tension in that it's drawing from. Um, like tension from the crowds. Somebody might go in to have a peaceful meal and walk out a ball of nerves because of what was happening around them,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Diana, how about you? Any takeaways, ahas for today?
I mean, as I was rewriting my dining section, realized I probably need more sensory stuff, smells, flavors,
Mhm.
texture, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely. I would love that. And Nicole, how about you? Any takeaways, ahas, and what are your next steps?
So I guess my takeaways are to I guess add more details as far. Well, I don't think I can really, because my main character is not like a meal trader, so he's not in the kitchen, like watching them prepare the food and stuff,
Mhm.
or anything. So I'm not sure if I can use the technology in this scene. I could probably can use it in a later scene where I might have like a meal trader or something like that. But I guess so. I guess my takeaways are like to try to add more detail as far as like Diana was saying, the flavors and the textures of.
Yeah.
Okay, like I have them drinking something. So what does it taste like? I have them drinking pine orange juice. So
Oh,
what does pine orange juice taste like? I just mentioned the color, but I didn't mention what it tastes like, and
yeah. Yeah. And there's six main tastes that we all have generally, but you can invent one, but salty, sweet, bitter, sour, umami, starchy.
Yep,
Scientists,
right,
starchy is also included, but you could have prickly, or you could have, spiky, you could play with something
yeah,
still would be relatable and interesting and unusual too.
yeah. And so I might see what ChatGPT has. They might have some ideas of creating some taste that we don't have.
Yeah, and
That,
see if you can combine it with what you already have in your story. So it feels
yep, and yep. And so I guess my next step is to look that up, see what they come up with, because they come up with some really interesting things, and incorporate that into my scene, my current scene I'm working on. And
that sounds
so
great.
they have it.
Good. Great. Well, just real quick, the second Sunday of this month and the fourth Sunday is the sprint. If you all want to come to Sunday sprints. Our next call is Thursday, the 17th in 2 weeks. And I am teaching a special 90-minute setting class through a friend's little school in August. So you'll hear about that. And my takeaways is kind of reinforcing how much I like to talk about food in my story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and bring in more nuances and bring in more cultural mores, cultural customs. I think that'd be fun. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. Uh, yeah. I don't know if we're gonna have pizza tonight, but there is a pizza in the freezer.
I'm very open to
Oh,
it.
Ezra's open to it.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay.
Thursday night pizza. I guess that's it for now. Have a happy 4th of July. Stay safe, enjoy the fireworks, everyone, and the barbecue. And I will see you all in sooner or later and soon. I will see you all soon.
All right.
My sleep
All
too.
right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Get some sleep.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye
Welcome
bye.
back.